The man on trial for shooting and killing a woman on the front porch of his Detroit home will be back on the stand today. 55-year-old Theodore Wafer says he heard banging on his door 4:30 in the morning. Says he got out his shotgun thinking maybe he could scare someone away, defend himself. He thought there could be a home intruder there, but when he opened his door, he pulled the trigger. He killed 19-year-old Renisha McBride, who prosecutors say was simply trying to get help after a car crash. Wafer says he feared for his life and that he didn't want to be a victim in his own home.
I just explained it the best I could. It's just the first thing to come out. Denial, I guess.
Today, in front of this jury, why did you pull the trigger?
To protect, to save myself, to defend myself. It was them or me at that moment.
Wafer now faces second-degree murder and manslaughter charges. Joining me now, Wendy Patrick, a prosecutor and a deputy district attorney, and Brian Claypool, a criminal defense attorney. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
An interesting case.
Hi,
We're
Molly.
watching it. Hello. We're watching it unfold in court. This man has been testifying. He's previously said he didn't know the gun was loaded. He went there to his front door, shooting through a screen door, and ultimately that this was self-defense, doing it more in a reflex. But prosecutors believe that there is enough to charge him, and they've taken him to trial. Wendy, your thoughts?
Well, this, in a word, this is a case about options. There were other options available to this man than shooting a 12-gauge shotgun outside the door. And that is one of the things that a jury is going to have to look at. The whole case is going to be viewed, it's viewed now in hindsight, but it's foresight that's going to be important to the jurors. They're going to want to know exactly what facts and circumstances this man was confronted with that led him to believe that deadly force was necessary.
Now, Brian, your thoughts on this, because he's made a case that there had been some crime in the neighborhood, that he was fearful. Your thoughts?
Well, this murder trial is much like fine art. Whichever side gives the most vivid picture and snapshot of what happened on that evening is going to win this case. And right now, I think Mr. Wafer is going to win this case because he's giving vivid details of what he went through that evening, Molly. Remember, all he has to prove is he had a reasonable and honest fear for his life. And you're hearing him testify that it's 4:30 in the morning. He's hearing pounding on the front door, pounding on the side door. He doesn't know who it is. He lives in a neighborhood where there's drug paraphernalia out in the front yard. He then opens the door. And here are a couple crucial facts that I think weigh in his favor. He opens the door a little bit, Molly, and Renisha comes from the side. So he's alarmed. It escalates his fear. And then she's within a foot of him. He doesn't really have time to analyze it. And then the most powerful piece of evidence I think he testified about is she did not say anything. Had she said, hey, Mr. So-and-so, I need help, maybe he wouldn't have shot.
Well, prosecutors make the point in this case that he didn't initially run and call 911 first. He argues that he was trying to find his cell phone. Wendy?
Exactly. And one of the things that jury's going to get to do is when a defendant takes the stand, he's treated like any other witness. So they get to judge his credibility. And part of the way they're going to do that in this case is exactly what you said. They're going to compare what he said originally to what he's saying now. That's one of the many things they get to do, is to decide, well, is that the original story he gave the police? And if not, why not? And the proverbial smoking gun, if you will, in this case, might be the shotgun that he used, because that was one of the topics that came up in the 911 call, whether he knew it was loaded. Now, of course, it's self-defense. So anytime you get inconsistent defenses being offered by somebody on trial for this kind of account, all of those things the jury gets to look at, think about, and compare the stories. So it may come down to credibility once they've had a chance to weigh all the evidence.
Yeah, Renisha McBride, 19 years old when she was killed, of course, not here to testify in this case. So we're really relying on what this defendant has to say. And he's gotten up on the stand. You know, will that make a difference, Brian?
Absolutely. I mean, he's the person that can tell the story about how he felt that evening. And he's telling everybody, I live in a neighborhood. By the way, Molly, the crime index in the city of Dearborn for violent crime is 17%, which means that 83% of other cities are safer than Dearborn. Dearborn Heights, the crime index is 33%, which means 67% of other cities are safer. So he's telling that story to the jury. hey, look, get in my shoes, sit in my chair. I'm hearing this pounding. I'm afraid. I don't have time to think about calling. I don't know where my phone is. I think he's doing an exceptional job of telling the picture. Another thing he did, Molly, is he's being remorseful. He's on the stand saying, hey, I'm really sorry she died. I'm really sorry this happened.
Thank you so
help
much.
him.
Brian Claypool, Wendy Patrick, for joining us here today. We'll be watching this one as it unfolds, as the trial goes forward. Appreciate it.
Thank you.